What's up, guys? Welcome back to Yeah Football. My name is Fito. How are you doing, Milad?
Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they
I think
go.
that's
Everywhere they
self-explanatory to where
go.
we're going in this episode.
1, 2, 3, 4. Tottenham get battered everywhere. Woo! How's everyone
So
doing?
we're gonna do a little bit of Derby talking. We're gonna start where we started in North London, and then we'll end up in Manchester. Saturday by Sunday, and then we'll talk about a little bit about the Champions League predictions that are coming up since games come out when this episode comes out. So let's just get right into it. Yeah, Derby days. I know you had you had probably a fuck ton of fun watching the Arsenal win, huh?
Uh, it was actually the calmest I've been for North London Derby in a very long time.
He says that, but
No, it really was. I woke up Saturday.
yeah, but
It was
talk
Saturday.
about the day
Yeah.
before. Talk about the day before.
The day before was tough. Yeah, the night before was tough. It's always the night before that gets you because the derbies are always, for us, in America, the derbies are always early because they don't want people, going to the games drunk and stuff. So it's always like a 7:30 a.m. game for us in America. So it's always the night before that gets me nervous. But by the time in the morning, I have to walk the dog and everything. I'm calm until like I watch on the phone and like the players walk out and I see the atmosphere. It's one of the few games where like everyone's already in their seat, like it's all ready to go. It's the biggest game of the season as always. But regardless with all that, the reason why I was pretty calm beforehand is because I felt like this is one of the most predictable games of the season. Like everyone knew how this game was going to play out. Arsenal would have the ball. They'd probably play the better football. Tottenham are going to sit. They're going to try to counterattack. Everybody knew this.
Well,
Like
I don't think the
when
results so dominated. I mean, obviously we've talked about in the last one that the head-to-head was obviously in Arsenal's favor, of course. How you were saying, but I think to be so dominant like this, it almost makes like a stand foot to like what the season for Arsenal is going to be.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing is we all knew how the game was going to play, but can Arsenal do what they needed to do? Both teams are better than they were last season. Last season they were like 11th and 12th in the table. This season they're first and third, so that both were better. But it's basically the same result as last season, a 3-1 victory. 3-1 victory to Arsenal, but a little bit different football as well. I mean, last season Spurs were a little bit more attacking, even under Nuno. I know they were struggling under Nuno, but like Spurs, to me, the biggest takeaway is that Spurs are actually really disappointing. I think you've been saying it. I've been more hesitant on it, but we all see Arsenal. They look like the real deal. It's just going to be further proof that gets cemented throughout the next few months, as long as everyone stays healthy. We talked about Thomas Partey is so important. He scores like first time he's actually scored a long range shot. But he scores. He's so important to that squad. And Arsenal are in form. They're great. Everyone kind of knew that would be the case, but I really thought Spurs would be. I didn't think they would sit as deep as they did. And we all know they like the counterattack, but they were. I mean, Harry Kane was past. He was basically closer to his own penalty box than he was to the halfway line. So that was a little bit kind of surprising to see. I don't know why Conte did that. There's sitting deep, and then there's doing what they did which was ultimate 5-4-1 park the bus tactics. It was a really poor showing by Spurs, a showing that I think can really harm them more mentally than really the result. Like it's early in the season, it's October, but to go to your rivals like that and just willingly not want to play football at all, when you are a team that to dare is to do and positive football and you just don't do it, that's not a good sign. So I think we got to keep a really close eye on Spurs in the Champions League and in the Prem and see how they bounce back from that. Because when they go, I think their next game is against Brighton.
Frankfurt and Brighton,
Frankfurt and then Brighton. Brighton's going to want to control the ball. They're going to want to do the same thing Arsenal did, to a lesser extent, but they want a possession. And these mid-table teams, they're going to look at Spurs and be like, well, you're not going to dominate us, so we're going to go at you. And that could be very dangerous for them, but it also could play into their hands. So that was the biggest takeaway I got from it. On the Arsenal side of things, just absolutely fantastic. William Saliba, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Jesus, Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey, Sinchenko, everybody played extremely well, and I have nothing to add on. I feel like it's more interesting to get your perspective on it because I'm a fan, and I kind of I've seen it all. I know what the team is. Nothing about that performance surprised me, and so it's just cementing more and more. So I like to get your opinion more on it because I have nothing to say. Like it's a beautiful result, and we keep going. Liverpool up next.
I think it's a great showing for the team overall of seeing how composed this can be against the top 6 teams in the league. I think what's the biggest challenge that we've talked about privately, how Liverpool is up next, and I know you want to head it on in the take of the table against them because obviously considering how they did it against Brighton, they're going to have a tough time against Arsenal for sure, and it's not going to be easy.
That's a very much more unpredictable game. Like we know how Tottenham and Arsenal are going to be, but we don't know what Arsenal Liverpool is going to be like because those are 2 teams that want the ball. One team's out of form, one team's in form, but like that game can be very unpredictable.
Yeah, it could just snap for Liverpool and they can wake up. But I think the interesting take is how we've talked about before. We have players so in form, like in the back four, for instance, like White and Saliba, Shevchenko, and even your goalkeeper itself, Ramsdale, that have that strong line. Sometimes I feel like Gabriel, in one sense, is for me specifically out of the 4, the one that I feel like is the less in the top.
He's a little bit rash.
Yeah,
he uses his head. He loses his composure.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Often. If he stabilizes, like for instance, like the other back 4, and in the way of how they think they should do a more composed, not just tackle, but in general. You know what I mean? And it's not just because of incidents, but that's what I mean. It's something more composing compared to how everyone else is. In the midfield, it's pretty crazy how like it's just so dominant, how everybody is so organized, and this is what we've talked about. The difference obviously between when you have we'll get to City obviously in their sector of how robot like they are, that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. That just because they feel like they're robots, it doesn't make them lose their style. That's just the style that Guardiola set up. I think Mikel set up this team to have a similar effect, but just not the same robot style. It's just the organization is so consistent that it just feels that way, which works for this team. I think what's important here is to take away is that Xhaka looks a much better improved player than the past few years, which is great to see because it's not just stigma that he's gotten from everyone else as a laughingstock of Arsenal as it was for the last few years, but also as in the fanship itself, to the point where like, if the money came, you would sell him. And we've talked about that before, you and I. So it's good to see that, as the captain, sometimes that he can, well, not necessarily in this position, but like, what I mean?
He is the captain. He just,
exactly. He doesn't have but you know what I mean? The mentality to have there to be more reliable than previous seasons is good to see, for someone who had the quality before, came into this team and started showing signs of like buffoonery, I would say, just the way that he played, and then to now.
The biggest difference is that he's part of the front 5 now.
Yeah.
So he used to be part of the back
exactly
3. He used to like drop in the left back
because he didn't have
bomb forward, and now he's part of the front 5 next to Martinelli and next to Jesus. And so it's a completely different role. I think he's relishing in it, and because Arsenal dominates so much of the ball. Like, yeah, he could still do the CDM stuff, and he still sits next to Thomas Partey when they have to sit in a block.
But I think he can push up.
Arsenal have 70% possession, so he doesn't need it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like why City play Gundogan, Silva, and De Bruyne. Like, you could play all 3 of them together in the midfield because they have so much of the ball. You don't need if Rodri's out, you don't need to replace him like a Fernandinho.
Exactly. So with that being said, I think the basic take overall that you and I have come to the conclusion is that
they're
Arsenal,
good.
Yeah, exactly. They're just dominantly good, and it's a shame that obviously the idea was to play City on October and to see how it goes, to see the rest of the season. But unfortunately, those games aren't going to happen till like a later date. So all we have to look for
both
is
City
Liverpool.
and Arsenal games will be in 2023. Arsenal might not even be near the top at that point. So we don't know what the situation is going to be like after the
We
World
don't
Cup. But
know.
yeah, both those games are not
Yeah.
till not. I think the Etihad game at City is going to be played first, and then the Arsenal game that was supposed to be played will be played sometime in March or something.
Yeah. So I think it's just for Arsenal's sake. I think keep going. There'll be hiccups in between. I think the idea is to try to keep it consistently as possible to keep the most points up compared to City, since City right now has a point difference, the better GD in goal difference. But overall, I think much dumber aside, on the Tottenham aspect, it is they're lucky to be in the places they are. I think they should relish what they have and what they're doing. It might be controversial for us. Look, if it works for you where you're in the top four, great. Do I think you're a title contender? No. I don't think you're a title contender. The way that Tottenham play, they look like they aren't ready. I think Conte himself has said that this team isn't ready to play as a title contender. They still need time. What he changes, I don't know. There's a bunch of things that I would change personally, but I have a different way of looking at what he's trying to do. For instance,
the only signing that he made that's playing a lot right now is Richarlison, but Richarlison doesn't even have a Prem goal yet.
Well, that's
he
what I was gonna
scored a
say.
few in the Champions League.
I feel like,
but like he's not playing Basuma, he's not playing Spence.
Yeah.
He's so you can't like if you're gonna spend, you're gonna get these players, but you're still not comfortable with the back five that you have. I don't really get it.
well, I wouldn't say it's just that. For instance, Spence, who came in from Nottingham Forest, hasn't played yet. I think that was just talked about recently, and Conte said, "What do you think? I'm stupid? Of course I want him to play, but it just depends." He played a single game, right? But it's not going to happen.
That was about Matt Doherty.
Right. You're right. Matt Doherty.
He said, like, why aren't you playing him?
Yes,
and he's not in the right shape. Like, what do you think of him, stupid? And I was like, that's not the greatest method to back your squad, but okay,
I think, but Spence on the other hand, and it's not just Spence. Sark, Gill, even if you have, well, Foster's the goalkeeper, but I mean, like, these type of players, currently the 11 is questionable because I was gonna say in this particular game, Son and Richarlison were playing together, right? I think last game we saw Richarlison come off for his Son to come in, and that's where he scored the hat trick. Maybe they're players that don't necessarily can play together at the same time because
they feel both like more striker-esque players.
Exactly. So to have three and then Kane to drop back when he already drops a bajillion yards back, kilometers back, it almost feels too much. So maybe it's a different style that I need to play. I don't know who would come into the winter. I would have to reanalyze what Tottenham are thinking of doing if they're going to keep playing this style of football that we were just talking about, how they just like to lay back and sit.
They would need defenders.
Well,
they would need like really solid defenders, like an upgrade on Ben Davies on the left hand side, Davinson Sanchez, like an upgrade there, an upgrade in both fullback areas. And even you could put Eric Dyer as an upgrade as well. Dyer's been there for so long, but he doesn't feel like that center back that Conte
Dyer
would trust.
Like it's like how
Romero. I feel like Romero's the one center back there that could Conte would
he just
build
renewed
someone
so
there. But
I
everyone else you would. So we just said 4 of the back 5 would need upgrades. That's 130 million. That's a whole summer transfer window basically. So yeah, it would be a lot.
I say we start with someone who can hold in midfield and then see where we can go there because
that'd be a upgrade on Højbjerg.
Yeah, Højbjerg. But it could be more of a challenge. I have no idea. This team sometimes surprises me. We're like, I'll do this. Like, for instance, how we just talked about. It'll lose to Arsenal, right? But then they'll go on to beat City somehow. These
they
are
always
like or like United. Yeah, exactly. And it'll just be games like that don't make a lot of sense, and they stay up. Like, for instance, the way that how bad they play, respectfully. I don't know how to say that more, like messed up.
I mean, if you look at the squad, other than the front 4, the technical quality just isn't there. So they just can't play the way they I guess their fans would want them to. Højbjerg is fine. Like, Bencore's fine. Dyer's fine. They're all good they'll put in a shift.
It's just together.
You know,
it's just kind of.
but their technical quality is just, when you look at the other teams, they don't have that technical quality to build from the back, hold the possession, all that stuff. It's just not their style of play. So, and their manager doesn't play that way either. So,
Yes.
How high can they go? I think they can finish, like third. I still think they can do that. But I don't think they could do more than that.
Mhm.
Third would be excellent for them.
Well, we're gonna have to see. I think I don't want to mention Liverpool and Brighton right now because I think it's still a work in progress for Liverpool, and they have a Champions League in this. Let's wait after our Arsenal to talk more in depth into Liverpool. I just want to say we were talking about for a long time since the beginning of the season. We're now in what, week 8, 7? It should have been week. It should have been week 8. Probably week 8. And we've 8 weeks have gone by, and this is exactly what we've been talking about from the beginning of the season. That Liverpool look weak. That's all I'm gonna really say. I think we should continue. We'll wait on a better analysis after Arsenal, because I think that's a much better chance to see when another top 6 team gets played. Okay, now let's go into what happened Sunday, because this is like beyond called for. Like, I think City versus United, if any, the only people really genuinely, and we've talked about it with other people, the only people genuinely who believe that United were somehow going to win are United fans because of how their run was doing.
4 wins in a row, it does something to the brain.
But in honesty, there was no way ever that you were going to win City, and especially now at the current moment with Haaland, De Bruyne, Silva. Exactly how we were just talking about, right? How sometimes players can miss games, like Rodri, for instance, in this aspect, and they still find a way. It's not even, I wouldn't say, first off, it's not just like, for instance, Jack. Jack didn't get an assist or a goal, but you can see how much City dominate, that his presence is still felt in the build-up to the play with Cancelo as well, that you don't have to be like, oh, well, he didn't do anything. Because he wasn't
one of his best games of the season.
Exactly. And he wasn't even on like the sheet in itself as an assist or a goal. And his presence was particularly felt. That's the kind of stuff that you see like this City dominate. How was that going to play out for United? Now, first off, I think we both should talk about the City dominance, and then we'll dive into the absolutely crushing United. In this channel, right, I don't like to do it this way, but it kind of has to be this way. This is the season where like we like to talk trash about United because it's an organization. It's one of the biggest ones in the world. They should have done more. And, well, for United fans, I think it's a bit arrogant to think that this team was going to really pull it off, especially with like tweets like, and I sent it to you, right? Like Martinez is like, he's like the dad for Haaland because of the way that they played it against him in Dortmund when he was in Ajax. That has zero relevance to playing at United. It's like saying how Casemiro is one of the greatest defense units in midfield, which is completely true, and he was one of the world's best. But then you give him a red shirt, and he becomes not Casemiro. I don't even know how to.
I can't even play.
Yeah, that's another thing. But let's get into the City first. The absolute dominance of this team is ridiculous. I feel excited and nervous because I really would like to see other contestants, like for instance Arsenal, on the score sheet for the table. It used to be Liverpool. Obviously, these Liverpool versus City games were brilliant. They were like next level Premiership, like high tier games. I can only hope for the best for the same thing with Arsenal and City to be that way. But at the current moment, with the way City play, it's just, you expect now, it's becoming how we used to expect with Messi and Ronaldo. Haaland is expecting of a hat trick per game, and it's just that good of a play. And it's not just, you don't just suck in his brilliance of awareness, right? Because like, for instance, I think it was on the third goal when De Bruyne passed it to him in the through ball, and he was already throwing himself acrobatically because he was already aware of how distant the ball was going to be. That's just how athletic this guy is and ready to score at any point. The amount of goals and we're only in the first week of October. The amount of goals is ridiculous, and that's what was expected of such a like build up to this guy. You can't say that he's overrated and being talked to too much, because he himself wants to be talked about. He enjoys that aspect of it, and that's what he wants. He does that with every team he's played in. So De Bruyne, nothing to say. He's one of the best midfielders in the game. Foden, fantastic as well, to a great partnership with Haaland. You have a bunch of shit in the squad to like build depth with. Silva, Gundogan, how we talked about. Grealish was one of the best plays that I think that you can't actually be like, well, Jack was wasted this much. And this is the kind of stuff that I want to see Jack do. You know, being almost like free floating to like being part of the action and not just sitting there as like a empty part of the field. So I think overall great for the push up of the attack of the build for City. A little disappointing in the second half to let these mistakes for the 3 goals that were created, except for that one Anthony brilliant shot, of course. But what I'm saying is, for instance, the penalty that was given, and the goal from Martial, these kind of things I feel like can be avoidable. So, for instance, in Anthony's case, difficult to stop, but everything else, in my aspect, it should have been maybe 6-1. Maybe the penalty could have been taken, but everything else, the Anthony shot could have been taken, and everything else could have been taken away, and that would have been brilliant. 6-1 would have been fantastic. 6-3, okay, it's still City dominance, but you let United score a couple.
I'm kind of glad City are this dominant.
Why?
I mean, it just calms my expectations. It calms my expectations. I kind of like, I understand, like, if my club's going to be good, then City's going to be good. It's better than United being good, or Chelsea or Tottenham or something. But I mean, this team, like, we thought it would take Haaland a little bit to adjust. Haaland is now just opening space for everyone else, and it's just
Haaland scoring.
When was the last time he missed a chance? He doesn't miss a chance. Like if he gets on the end of something, he scores. I don't remember the last time he missed a chance. It's getting a little bit ridiculous at this point.
It's getting ridiculous.
But
that's what the
it's kind of cool to watch, because like I've never seen it. Like this is like to a level I've never, and I know what you want. You want him to score 50 goals and City not win the league. That's what you want. I know that's what you want.
I've talked about it. Yeah, of course. I want to. It's a little cynical, but I would like him to be the best striker in the league. The absolute like crushing, like the lights of DJ Drogba numbers, Alan Shearer numbers, like Harry, like. We're talking about the British Premiership, even in his own team, Aguero, when it was in City. I want him to crush all those records like completely out of the water, because he's showing an absolute class in the first 2 months. But
yeah, he's I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like he's genuinely scary.
As an individual,
William Saliba is our only hope.
Yeah, honestly.
Saliba versus Haaland. 2 21, 22-year-olds going at it. But in all seriousness, now, like, yeah, we know what City are gonna do. I wonder when they play Liverpool, because I want to, that would be because we know they're not playing Arsenal anytime soon. So I think they play Liverpool soon, but I don't know. I have to check later.
What, City?
Yeah, on City. Yeah, City versus. I thought there was a game in October 16th. That they played.
Yeah, October 16th.
Okay, so they do play
at Anfield.
Perfect. So. Oh damn! That means City would have played. No, City would have played at Anfield and then had to go to the Emirates.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
It would have been like back to back.
Now I'm sad. But okay. I mean, you kind of said everything on City. I have nothing to say on City. Like, they're just so good.
They're
just so well machined. Like, Pep is amazing. Like, they're all amazing. Haaland's amazing. De Bruyne is one of the best midfielders ever. Like, I kind of want to talk more about United, because I think
let's go to United.
So naive.
Let's go to United. You start. I already started. You start.
Okay, so what annoyed me most is right when the game started. Okay,
the score sheet. I mean, sorry, the lineup. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the lineup. Okay, so you know what? I want to preface what I'm about to say by putting this here. I think Erik ten Hag needs time, and no one should call for a job or anything. He needs time. He needs to learn. This game showed how much he needs to learn, because he was an arrogant idiot for thinking he could play Ericsson and Bruno Fernandes as 2 8s in front of McTominay and not change it from the Arsenal game and think they could get away with that against Manchester City. That was one of the most arrogant decisions I've ever seen. He literally went into the game thinking, oh, we're just as good as City. I think we could probably, play it, go head to head with them. And what resulted in that was 6-1. I don't care about the two, Martial goals at the end. City literally were on vacation. It was 6-1, 4-0 in the first half. And it was very predictable because when I woke up Sunday and I saw that lineup, I was like, they stand no chance.
And you know what, McTominay
started. I mean, this is why sometimes when you take the Antonio Conte 5-4-1 approach, it's because you're giving the ultimate respect to your opponent, and you just know that you can't go toe-to-toe with them. And so, while I criticize that approach, sometimes it is what you have to do if you know you don't have the technical quality. Ten Hag really thought, even he got arrogant. Just like United fans who got arrogant, he got arrogant. He thought that, the one way of playing, the total football way he wants to play, that he could do it, but he can't. Not at this moment against City. Maybe 3 years from now, yes, but no, not right now. No. And so he tried that, and poor Christian Eriksen's running around the midfield trying to chase De Bruyne and Gundogan and Silva, and
I watched a corner where Haaland is being marked by Eriksen. What is Haaland being marked by Eriksen?
That is sad.
What is that? Why is that?
And Ten Hag should be thinking about these things and understanding that City will have most of the ball. Why this was the plan? Why he did he think he could possess City? I don't at the Etihad. I don't know what he was thinking, and so he got absolutely slapped up. And I feel like as much as I like to criticize United's players and everything, this is all on Ten Hag. The team was completely set up wrong. So they get annihilated. That's that. They don't have anything from the bench. Obviously you're not going to put Ronaldo in. No pace. You're not going to do that. Yeah, they were just completely
pissed about that.
Completely outmatched.
That I think. Okay, there's two things, right? You could have started Ronaldo, or you could have not started Ronaldo. So if you started Ronaldo, right, and things went well, great. If you didn't start Ronaldo, people are gonna complain. He's not marking. Well, he never marks. Right, he doesn't do that type of hustle, and someone else does it. Casemiro should have been started for that role specifically. Okay.
Yeah. I think Ronaldo was irrelevant in this game. I think it was the midfield and the back line. He should have went 5 in the back. He should have put Casemiro maybe alongside McTominay and had 3 pacey guys up front. Maybe like a Sancho, Rashford, Bruno. Maybe in a 5.
So you bench Rashford?
A 5-2-1-2. Bruno sitting in the middle, Rashford and Sancho up top, McTominay and Casemiro sitting with an extra center back in the back, and Malacia and Dalot as wingbacks. And that way you set up to where you're not going, at your current level, you will not outpossess City. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, you kind of got to do what Tottenham did and just, say, all right, we're going to sit back in a 5-4-1 formation and try to hit them on the counter and hopefully execute. But they didn't do that throughout the entire week. They thought they could go 1v1 head-to-head with them, and Haaland absolutely ripped them to shreds along with Foden, along with De Bruyne, and Pep probably just laughed when he saw the starting lineup. He was like, well, okay.
It's so unfortunate, really, because it could have gone a different way. Okay. In a different way, do I think City would have still lost? No, of course not. I think City had this game in the bag from beyond that, from the amount of games that they
played. If they set up in the 5 in the back, it would have been 2-0, 3-1.
Yeah, we're just discussing our best possible scenarios that we think they could have resisted City the most. In my aspect, I don't think even that was enough to stop them. At the current form of this team, I don't care about these wins. You're not going to tell me, honestly, just because of these 4 wins that you've had, right? You're not going to come at me and tell me, yeah, there was a win against Sheriff in Europa League. You know what I mean? And then come to City and go yeah, we're in good form. Our players did well internationally as well. No, of course not. I'm not going to say on it.
I truly believe that they're still riding really high off that Arsenal game, that they were able to counterattack Arsenal and get that 3-1 win. And then after that they played Real Sociedad, they
And they
lost.
lost.
Then there was the delay with the Queen's death, and then they played Sheriff and they won. That was that.
But that was a
and then they
horrible game.
decided. I don't know. Like I've seen their fans get really excited about that Arsenal game, but Arsenal outplayed them, and City are not Arsenal. City are insanely better.
Exactly.
So I don't know what why Ten Hag did what he did. I really respect Ten Hag, so I'm confused as to why he thought he could go in there and go 1v1 with them at this current moment when he's only had a few months to really implement his style of play, and he must know on the training ground it's not there yet. So it was very, very just immature by United.
I'm going to bring back
They
Ole.
just got slapped in the face.
I'm going to bring back Ole. Ole used to do well in derbies.
He would just sit. That's what Ole would do. Just sit and counterattack.
And it works.
And it worked.
You know
Got
what?
him through the Champions League legs. It beat City in derbies. Like it worked.
We talked a lot of shit about Ole. You know what? I can think right now that this team could use some of that.
This is the tough thing about football. We criticize Conte. We criticize Ole. We're like, you can't play this style of football. But then you put Man City in front of your face, and it's like, well, damn, I'm not going to go head to head with that. So, like, yeah. I might as well just sit back and hope for the best, and if I don't, I get slapped.
How would you think your team would do against City? Like, what type of football would they play?
Arteta would go head to head with them. Yeah.
Like, just try to like butt heads and see what happens.
Yeah, and they did that last season at the Emirates.
Right.
And we should have won. I mean, we got an unfortunate penalty that was never a penalty, and a red card that was never a red card, and that's why we lost.
These are logistics.
So, like we were the only team that season that dominated City that well for the entire first half. Like we absolutely dominated them, suffocated them. And now we're better. So yeah, Arteta would do that. I think Arsenal versus City would be incredible because it's just two systems that are very similar that would go head to head versus each other. Obviously, I still think City would win, but Arsenal wouldn't get battered. They're good enough now to where they can for spells in the game.
I hope not.
Do it. United aren't. Like United.
Well, United
they don't have that possession style yet. They play very much like a Manchester United team. Like Manchester United have never been known for possession style football.
No,
even in their heyday, they were more counterattacking. So that's kind of what they are now.
That's what I was talking about today. That most Ferguson's goal, he was known for like crunching the numbers up in the last 15, and he would really grind out that goal so that way he could win at the last few minutes of the game. But he win, he would suffocate the opponent. But this United's so weak that it can't do the same thing. That it can't start off the head and how you said, head to head. It was like they were going to try to butt in.
Do you think Ten Hag wanted Casemiro?
Did I think it? I think he does. I just don't think he wants to. He doesn't know where to use it. You know what I think? This is what I was going to say earlier.
I don't think he wanted him. Like he hasn't played him.
Well, I'll tell you. This is an interesting point. I don't know if this is 100% right. But I'm speculating most of this. So you're thinking, for instance, okay, let's say Eriksen is a great player. You should definitely have a play. It's just weird when you have Bruno and Eriksen seeing where you play them, right? That's the weirdest part of it all. But genuinely, this is why I think McTominay started this game. So this motherfucker has been playing supposedly in form in these last few games, especially not just in United's uniform, but also in the Scottish uniform. So he was like, okay, I need to start him. He's playing well. Since he sees Casemiro as like this guy who is like from La Liga and still trying to see how I adapted to his plays for Premiership, he doesn't want to start him. I genuinely think that's what it is. I think 100% it's because he played in the Spanish league, and because he comes from La Liga, he feels like he needs time to adapt and to learn the game because he makes these mistakes in the game. But he doesn't see that for other players. That's what I don't understand. If let's say Casemiro makes a mistake in game that he doesn't like, okay, but when everyone else does it, he just whatever. The only real time that I seen him do something significant is like, for instance, he dropped Luke Shaw, and Luke Shaw obviously acknowledged that he deserved the drop in. I mean, Luke Shaw came into this game as a substitute, and he did something. But I think, for instance, in this particular case, I think it's because he feels like he needs to adapt. That's the only reason why I think. Which is also
I
for
feel
you
like
and I, it's like,
wouldn't.
why does
He
he
wouldn't
need to
perform
adapt?
as well, but you know, I don't think anyone performs as well in this United team. We've already seen.
No,
it,
I
so.
think it's a United problem. I think it's a club.
It is a United problem.
You wear the uniform and you're like instantly you drop, like, if you're like a 90 overall, you went to like an 80. You drop 10 points just for putting the red shirt on. It's unfortunate. It really shouldn't be like this. You know what I was thinking earlier? For instance, how when Mourinho was coaching this team, or Van Gaal, sometimes you would get like, it would either go one way or the other, like either City's way or United's way, and it would almost be like a backflip kind of thing. Even when Pep was here at City later, but after that, I feel like sometimes, well, more than now than anything, I don't see why United to win these games. They're almost like played into losing. Like Pep comes preparing the entire week as like, this is exactly what is going to happen. You're going to outbeat them in every particular part right here, and you're done. I feel like in United's case, it's like we're still figuring out who's going to play the game. You know what I mean? Like still picking the lineup up to the right very point.
Yeah, those 4 wins were a red herring. They got the results. They got some wins. They beat a good team in Arsenal, but this United team still is not very good. Like it's just the facts. Like they're not very good. Every time they go up against like a City or a Liverpool, when Liverpool's in form. I mean, Liverpool is so fascinating right now. But like when this started last season. Last season they got battered, and it carried, like you can't fix everything over one summer. So I think, yeah, it was just a perfect storm for them to not play enough games heading into this game. Only 2 Europa League games, and like the Arsenal game was like September.
They're gonna play Europa League on Thursday, respectively, against Onomia Nicosia. I think that's how you say that, in Cyprus. And they're gonna be like, man, we just played it dominantly well, 3-0, 3-1. We just played really. What are you talking about? Yeah, what are you talking about? Start Ronaldo, start Casemiro. What are you talking about? Get out of here, like. What do you, and then go against Everton and struggle? What? You're gonna go to Liverpool and you're gonna struggle over there. What? You know what I mean? That's the type of, I mean, look, if Everton pull off a point or at least win, I'm gonna start like giving Frank some credit, because honestly, he's doing better than Liverpool. And it's close. They're close. I'm gonna so that's the problem right there. That if we get to the point where Everton are giving you problems, what are we doing? What are we doing?
They have conceded the least amount of goals in the league. So let's give Frank his props.
I gotta give Frank props. Your 7 goals and your 7 goals scored in and scored out. 0 GD. But hey, my man, you're like 2 points behind Liverpool. Same amount of. Same points but different GD.
Don't worry, Frank. We'll take care of them. We'll help you out. No, I'm not confident in that. Well, I was confident in Tottenham. I'm not confident in Liverpool.
Maybe. I have no idea. We don't even know.
Liverpool are so weird, man. They're so weird. I don't understand the team.
Let's not get into it. Look, we had let's move on from the derbies. We had a few games. I'm really not going to get into it really that much. I think it's okay. Milan are doing well. Inter doing tough. Lost against Roma. Really good for Roma. Real Madrid tied. So Barcelona up to the first place. We talk about Barcelona, so let's not get into too much of Barcelona, but just keeping up the score lines and stuff like that. Leicester won.
Big game tomorrow for them.
Yeah. So Barcelona have a lot of games in hand coming up with Inter, Real Madrid later on. It's a big October for them too, so we'll have to see how they do, especially with the injuries that they've collected from international break. Okay, so Inter Barcelona, what do you think? Tomorrow, score, or for the recording, yes. for tomorrow. Yes, but
It's
today
in
off.
Italy. I just
They're out
don't
of
have a
form.
good feeling about Inter. I'm going 2-1 Barcelona.
I'm going the same thing. I was gonna say 2-0, but I think they like to concede, even though they haven't conceded that much. We talked about it. Actually, I want to bring that up real quick. I do need to shout out real quick how Barcelona defensively have done amazing in the league. Champions League, well, you have Bayern. Okay, I'm sorry, but in defensively in La Liga, 1 goal conceded. Shout out to Ter Stegen in the back four. Amazing job, even with the injuries that are being played right now. That's crazy. If you can do the same at Inter, make sure to hit like on. Hey, look, if Barcelona keep a clean sheet, make sure to like on Spotify and you. I can't believe. Yeah, make sure to give a like for one clean sheet, one like. Yeah. I'll do the same thing with you though. I'll do the 2-1 though. 2-1. I think that's what you said, right? 2-1.
2-1 Barcelona. Lewandowski on the score sheet.
Yeah, incredible form. Let's do another one. Frankfurt, Tottenham. I know we were just talking about Tottenham. Do you think it's a tough test for them, or do you think they'll?
Where's the game being played?
It's being played in Frankfurt, in Germany.
Frankfurt have not been that great this season.
I'll go with the draw. Yeah, let's do it with the draw.
I don't know, man. I don't know how you predict Tottenham games. I just don't.
I'll do a 2-2 for you.
I don't know.
Wait. So, I just want to see the table. Okay, so the current table right now is Sporting. I think it's Sporting with 6 points. Right there, the clearest team. Right, Tottenham 3 points, Frankfurt 3 points, Marseille 0.
I would need to do some research on how Frankfurt play because I don't watch enough Bundesliga. So I just don't know.
I'll go with a tie. I'm gonna go with a tie.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the tie.
Ajax versus Napoli. Now this is crucial because you're
Napoli.
big. I know you're gonna say that. I'm gonna go with Ajax. I don't know why, but
Napoli.
I'll go with it. All
Napoli.
right,
I'm telling you, this Napoli team this season is legit. I'm telling you,
they're both in form.
This is my team.
They're both doing crazy. Ajax lost. They have like a draw and a loss in the last few games. They haven't won in 3. But do I think they're capable of giving Napoli a chance more than Rangers? Yes, I think the Rangers game was a little bit unlucky for Rangers, but Napoli prevailed.
Liverpool better hope that Napoli win that game because I'm telling you, if Ajax win that game, that's going to be very hard for Liverpool to
come back.
Basically, have to beat Napoli and Ajax in the final 2 games. That's well, especially in the form that they're in. That's very tough.
Maybe Liverpool are the place that they show a Europa League team. Anyways, let's go to Wednesday. Wednesday, Benfica versus PSG. Now Benfica, very good form, haven't lost a single game this season. Right?
It has to stop, right?
It's got to stop. I mean, this
is where it ends.
Well, I was going to tell you real quick. They did draw this Saturday, so their winning consecutively streak ended, but they're still undefeated. So
now they're about to lose.
So now you think they're gonna lose?
The way that Messi's in full flow, Messi scoring free kicks, and Mbappe sees the Champions League lights and says, "I'm the superstar," and he'll start scoring.
Okay,
they're losing.
I'm going with PSG win. I'm not gonna give a score because I'm unsure of the capabilities of Benfica. So Chelsea versus Milan. This is a big one for that group. What are you thinking? Chelsea versus Milan.
First game draw. I don't know about the second one. First game draw.
This is what I'm thinking. It's a game at Stanford. I want Giroud to give a nice little kick. You know what I mean?
Giroud versus Aubameyang. Oh boy.
I would like a Milan win. That's what I would like.
I would like that too, but I think Graham Potter can steady the ship at the moment while he tries to implement his style of play. They got Nkunku. They got the pre-agreement with Nkunku,
yeah.
So,
but
that's a huge signing for them.
But nothing too clear yet. This is current team. Current team,
they're like a 4th place team in the Prem, and they'll get knocked out in like the round of 8 in the Champions League.
So the Serie A champions, you're saying draw, right?
Maybe I'm being harsh on them.
Maybe you're
I don't
not.
know.
Maybe you're just.
I think these teams are so equal. I think
Okay.
Milan and Chelsea are very
That's
very
fine.
equal. So
I understand.
yeah, that's why I go draw.
Okay, I'll go with the Milan upset at London. Let's do that. Yeah, those are the big games. We could talk about Real Madrid versus City. City play Copenhagen respectively, and Real Madrid and Shakhtar. Uh, those seem like Real Madrid and City are like teams where they just dominate. So these type of tournaments are meant for them, at least in the group stages. And then later on, maybe City starts to struggle because football heritage, and Real Madrid is just inherently by heritage just the most dominant team in the tournament. So I don't really have much to say on that. I don't think you either, unless something happens. Well, we'll talk about it on the next episode. I really don't have much to say with that aspect. So next episode, I think we'll drop it around the same time, or a little bit before Champions League starts. There's big games in the weekend as well. That you might want to see. Maybe Dortmund versus Bayern. Maybe something can happen there. I don't know. Up to you. Watch the Bundesliga. I recommend it. Brighton play Tottenham.
I watch Dortmund versus Bayern. It's just like,
Well,
I don't watch
talking to them
Frankfurt
too.
versus Augsburg.
I know.
That's not what
I'm talking to them too. Brighton versus Tottenham. Just see if Tottenham can prevail. Maybe not. Maybe Brighton continue their run.
Versus
They do
Juve.
well. Exactly. Milan versus Juve. Good to see if the Turin, the old lady, they make a return. I don't know. Maybe you'll know. And then Arsenal Liverpool. Maybe you'll know. Maybe I won't. Who knows? We'll talk about it next week. Will Everton surprise United? All these things. Anyways, make sure to check us out on both platforms, whatever you're listening to, either on YouTube or Spotify. It's all there. Excited stuff in October. I love this month. There's so much football. It's great. No more international breaks to talk about. I will be talking about some international teams in the future episodes because World Cup coming up soon. It's so close. So stay tuned for all this. And yeah, that's it. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye bye. North London is red.